Welcome to our channel. Please subscribe and like it. Thank you. Is it true that King Charles III and Queen Camilla live and have always lived in separate mansions and even in shared residences have separate bedrooms? What do the houses whose walls remember all the tangled intrigues, joys and sorrows of the monarchs look like? Where does the king live after ascending the throne? Which houses did he inherit after the death of his mother Queen Elizabeth II? You'll learn about this in this video, as well as other facts about the king's estates. Let's take a look together at the British monarch's main home in London, Clarence House, his summer home at Highgrove House, and Camilla's private home, where she has lived apart from her husband for many years. Charles III said he did not want to follow tradition and live at Buckingham Palace, preferring it to the more comfortable and long-established Clarence House. Moreover, now in the main residence has begun a 10-year renovation project with the replacement of pipes, electrics, the device of elevators and other things. However, there is a possibility that the king will still have his own suite at the palace, albeit small. They will be located above the gift store. More than 100 of the king's staff from the old house are to be dismissed when they move to Buckingham Palace. The media reported that dozens of employees have already received layoff notices, including the Clarence House public relations team, several private secretaries, housekeeping staff and the finance department. It is also reported that some employees have worked with Charles for decades. Staff members who provide direct, immediate and personal support and advice to Charles and Camille remain on staff, and downsized staff will receive help finding new jobs and a good severance package. It turns out that none of the members of the British royal family wanted to live in Charles's former home. Clarence House is likely to be saved for future use by Prince George, Princess Charlotte, or Prince Louis, because none of the royal family wanted to occupy it. Earlier, Clarence House was occupied by Elizabeth and Prince Philip, before her accession to the throne, and then by her mother. So, King Charles has had an affinity for this house since his childhood. Another famous resident of Clarence House was Princess Diana, who moved in before her engagement to the son of Queen Elizabeth II was announced. Diana lived there until they were married in 1981. Clarence House has the Lancaster Room, which is used as an unofficial reception room. There is also a library in the Westminster residence. The room was originally designed as a small dining room, but Princess Elizabeth and the Duke of Edinburgh, who planned to live in Clarence House, decided to remodel it. They added bookcases, turning the space into a library. Charles sometimes uses the room to have tea with heads of state. From the library you can go directly to the dining room. This is the room the owner changed the most. He added striking bronze in the ceiling. Above the fireplace is a portrait of Charles's grandmother, the Queen Mother. The dining room table is large enough to fit the entire royal family. Speaking of this luxurious house, one cannot fail to mention the famous morning room. There is a curious detail associated with the morning room. When this room was being photographed for the baptism of Prince Louis, the furniture was rearranged. But the most beautiful room in the king's house is the garden room, where Charles and Camilla most often receive high-ranking guests. It features a traditional fireplace and a corner with lots of jewelry in the closet and works of art. Charles and Camilla's beloved summer homes will now go to Prince William and Princess Catherine. In order to still use these estates, the king and queen will have to pay rent to their new owners. The fact is that all the real estate of the royal family is allocated according to titles, so becoming King Charles got the right to live in Buckingham Palace and other residences that his mother owned, and William, becoming Prince of Wales and Duke of Cornwall, got the right to occupy those residences that his father used to own. The forthcoming rearrangements may not be very comfortable for the members of the royal family, because for so many years they have become very attached to their familiar homes. It is anticipated that Charles will especially miss Highgrove Manor and Camilla will miss Burkhall, where they spent many happy days and where they poured their hearts and minds. Most likely, they will continue to live in these mansions, but will have to pay rent to William. The approximate amount of such rent is about £700,000 a year for one estate. However, if Highgrove House goes to William and Catherine, Camilla will not be upset. That's because it is considered Princess Diana's home. Highgrove in Gloucestershire is the King's country residence, from which you can quickly get to London. Charles bought the estate on the eve of his marriage to Princess Diana. Here the newlyweds spent several happy years together, and then with their children. The estate is equipped with the latest standards of environmental friendliness. All waste is recycled. The roof of the farm installed solar panels. The house itself is heated with a boiler, working on wood chips. Aerosols have not been used in the house since the 1980s. Rainwater is collected and used for irrigation. An especially designed sewage system with reed filters purifies the estate's wastewater. Queen Camilla almost always lives in her own home apart from her husband. Even when living in the same house, they sleep in separate bedrooms. While the King and Queen's primary residence is considered Clarence House, Camilla has lived at her country home, Ray Mill, a 20-minute drive from Charles's Highgrove home since the early 2000s. The King's wife bought the house for $1 million using money she inherited from her divorce from her first husband and being in a relationship with Prince Charles at the time. Here she keeps her beloved horses and spends time with her children and 5 grandchildren. It is said that she feels at home in Ray Mill. She can take off her shoes, put on a housecoat and watch a TV series that Charles doesn't like. So why aren't the King and Queen living together? According to Camille, the reason is that Charles has too busy a schedule. According to reporters, after Queen Elizabeth II's funeral, the couple flew by helicopter to Camilla's home and then the King retired to his Highgrove house, a 20-minute drive from his wife's home. Even when Camilla and Charles live together, whether in London at Clarence House, Highgrove House or Burkhall Manor in Scotland, they live in separate bedrooms. The Queen is expected to continue living in her Ray Mill home even after the King moves to Buckingham Palace. The monarch's separation is often a cause for discussion. Some see it as a sign of formality in their union, while others are confident that having their own home away from the royal hustle not only contributes to Camilla's peace of mind, but also to the success of her marriage. What do you think of this royal lifestyle? Thank you for watching. Please subscribe and like this video.